what are your realistic expectations for Brock in 2025?
I think he bounces back. And not having to worry about the contract drama. As I noted, better coaching. I just don't see how the injury rate, number 2 most injured offense in the NFL last year, repeats itself again. I think continuity with some of the younger players like Pearsall and Cowing, that helps. One thing about the offense too, when the Niners have had to force feed Debo, the offense becomes worse. Debo's not on the team anymore. So I think it's a more natural, organic approach to distributing the football. And I think that bodes well for Purdy because he's at his best when he has to play point guard. And so I think he learns a little bit from some of the dumb decisions that he made late in games last year. He felt the pressure of needing to carry the team and make the big play when we all know he can't play hero ball. That's not his game. And so I think he learns from that. I think better defense and special teams and the Niners playing better complementary football doesn't put him in a position where he has to play that hero ball. And I just think it results in better play for Brock. And then I think experience is important. Like, he played a lot in college, but this is going to be his 3rd full season as a starting quarterback in this league. And I think experience will help him do wonders. And he doesn't have to worry about like the contract drama any longer. And I thought last year at times he played a little bit tight, perhaps because of that.
He even mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the argument you just made. And I tend to be like, I try to be objective, but I tend to be a fan and I want the 49ers to do well. And therefore I want Brock Purdy to have a bounce back season. So when you're making your argument, I'm like, these are excellent points. Yes, it's like feeding the voice in my head that wants to be positive. But I couldn't help but think 10 seconds prior, we were talking about the offensive line and how poorly Jalen Hurts would do if you switched out the offensive line on the Eagles. And I don't know, is this offensive line even as good as it was last year? I guess if Trent Williams is healthy and he's there consistently, you would say, yeah, definitely.
Just wait until you see Connor Colby do his thing, Ashley. Just freaking wait.
I'm just saying they lost. Was Aaron Banks the best? Who knows? I know a lot of people are excited about Ben Barch. He played really well for one game, but he also got injured multiple times and played one game. So I don't know, like, if we can depend on him. And I'm open to being wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I do worry. Can his interception rate change if he's continuously running for his life next year? Like, even if Chris McCaffrey is back, maybe they'll be running the ball more. But I can just see so many scenarios where Brock Purdy is running to the side, trying to escape something, but then he has to throw the ball out of bounds. Or he thinks he sees Ricky Pearsall open, but doesn't see the linebacker because he's on the run, trying not to get tackled from a guy behind him. So much is going to depend on if that offensive line gives Brock Purdy a chance, in my opinion, because what were the qualities during that year where he was in the MVP race? People said his decision making, his accuracy. He didn't have the time to make accurate, good decisions when the pocket was immediately collapsing. And then we saw what happens to a lot of quarterbacks. I mean, I think of Sam Darnold, who just had a great year with the Vikings, but then all the way before that in his career, it's like he had so many times where the offensive line broke down that he started anticipating it even when it wasn't happening. So I know, like, there's people on Twitter that will say, well, look, Brock Purdy's actually responsible for this. The offensive line wasn't breaking down in this particular play, and he starts bailing out. And what I would say is, well, because the offensive line is not consistently good, Brock Purdy last year started anticipating that it was going to go wrong. And sometimes it would, but sometimes it wouldn't. And he was making wrong decisions. So I think so much of projecting Brock Purdy is projecting the offensive line. Now, Chase, you made an excellent argument for him getting better. And also, just under Kyle, there seems to be a very up and down trajectory with his offense and with his quarterbacks. So going off of just the history of that, you would say, okay, they had a down year last year. The offense and therefore the quarterback is probably going to be better this year. They're going against a lot weaker schedule outside of their division, at least. So yes, could I talk myself into being positive and into saying that Brock Purdy could be more like his MVP year or MVP, race year than last year? Yes. But could I also see a situation where he's, in the same situation as last year where he can't live up to that because he's just trying to keep plays alive? I can see that. Maybe where you could see the progression is in that the red zone, less picks in that scenario. Like if you can get all the way down there, can you protect the football? Can you get the football to George Kittle? Does that make sense what I'm saying? I'm not trying to be a downer.
Look, even the best quarterbacks can't overcome bad offensive line play. Look no further than Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl in February. Offensive line sucked. He had no chance. He was seeing ghosts, and then he turned it over 3 times because he was feeling that pressure. And so a lot of the Niners' success offensively and Brock Purdy's success offensively, I think, does rely and hinges on the offensive line, which is, again, why it just makes no sense to me that this organization, in a game where games are decided at the point of attack, they don't prioritize the offensive line enough.
Prize Picks will give you $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you'll get $50 for playing. Use promo code Cohn, COHN, and download the app now. There's one more big factor too, and Ashley brought it up earlier. I'm surprised you didn't come back to it because you said, Kyle he wasn't very creative last year. To me, like Kyle, he boosts Brock, but he also limits Brock because Brock can't audible. I mean, Brock has no ownership of the offense. It's all Kyle. So either what Kyle's calling works or it doesn't. And I mean, I think we've seen with Kyle, like his quarterback's going to put up the same numbers essentially no matter who it is. And Brock, he gives you this scrambling element that's great, and that's outside of structure. We love that. But for Brock to play better this year, one, Christian has to be great again, or Kyle has to be way better than he was last year and have like this evolution where he's, Kyle 2.0 and is going against tendency and doing new things. Haven't seen that from him in a while. I really feel like he hasn't had many new ideas since 2019, since he really got this rolling. His big new addition was trading for Christian McCaffrey, one of the best moves he ever made, the Niners ever made. It really worked out. But I'd love to know if he has a wrinkle or two, or if this offense has kind of been figured out in the sense that people know tendencies. I mean, he's been doing this for so long.
You have to adapt and evolve, man. And part of the reason why I thought Shanahan struggled last year was that the offense seemed vanilla. He didn't really adapt and evolve and make a lot of changes. And again, it's hard when your personnel is changing every single week, but that's what you pay coaches to do, to come up with new creative ideas, to put players in a position to succeed, to maximize the players on the roster. And I thought Shanahan, he didn't do a good enough job of that last year. And frankly, toward the end of the year, I thought everybody on that team was checked out. And that starts with the head coach.
And what's funny, they have this disaster of a season, and then they give Brock Purdy a huge extension. So it's clear the owners didn't hold him responsible for the 6-11 season. I mean, I'd have to think they held Kyle responsible because he didn't get an extension. So a lot of pressure on him. I mean, I think Brock Purdy's, if he struggles this year, could look bad for Brock, but it could be even worse for Kyle because maybe the owners say, well, maybe it's time to find someone else because we believe in Brock. That's why we gave him so much money. Anyway,
I said I like to be positive. And Chase made a great point, but then I was being negative about the offensive line. Your guys' conversation just made me feel positive again because you said, Grant, the offense has started to be predictable. I agree. What did Robert Saleh just say in his first interview that he had back with the 49ers? He likes to predict what offenses are going to do, not just 1, but 2 years in advance. Having Robert Saleh back, if Kyle is open to it, and I don't know, because I do know Kyle likes to make his own calls and doesn't like a ton of, feedback, but he's worked with Robert Saleh before. I think there might be more openness to listening to Robert Saleh than there could be other coaches. Maybe Robert Saleh helps Kyle see the weaknesses or see the predictability, and therefore that having Robert Saleh not only improves our defense but improves our offense by giving Kyle some insight into, hey, this is how defensive coordinators around the league are starting to predict what you're doing. This is the tendencies they're seeing. When you line up like this, this is what they know to do. And I'm going to tell you this and give you this heads up, and we can work on it all off season. I'm back to thinking the offense is going to be good.
I love it. That was quite a ride.